And we are live. Welcome back to the self. Sorry, you made me laugh there. Welcome back.
It was sudden. It was suddenly we're alive.
Welcome back to the self-help bookshop. Rory is in the room. He's with us, and today we are going to be talking about love. What is love? And this is really important when we're talking about personal development and finding your higher self. Now, Rory, you chose this topic last week with your cards. Do you want to share your card? Did you have your card ready?
I've got some. Yeah, I've got my cards.
Okay.
I'm
So
ready.
yeah, we just randomly pulled one of his high value cards last week, and that's dictated the topic for today of love. And on a bank holiday as well. We're all had some time, hopefully, to do some self-love and care and time out today. So I hope you have too. So yes, Rory, do you want to start? I should say, first of all, I'm Kay Reeve. I'm an emotional awareness expert, and my focus is on helping adults to support teenagers and young adults with neurodivergent depression using emotional awareness. Check out my details in the link below. And
Hi there. My name's Rory Lemon. I go by Rory Lemon Aid to help AID to help on the internet, and I'm a neurodiversity expert, neurodiverse health and creative flow coach. It's creative flow for mental health for global sustainability and inclusivity, breaking through those procrastination and perfectionisms that we can try to claw onto all the time and get those projects, those visionary projects out there, be it a business project, be it a music album. Doesn't matter really in one way what it is. We get to self-express and we also get to do the things that we love to do, which makes us better, which makes our all our relationships better.
well, that's a good one to end on. Relationships and love, and that includes self-relationship, but there are so many other ways that we can look at relationships and love, and not just with people either, with processes, with things and hobbies. And so love is a broad topic. So
There's,
where are we going to even begin on this one tonight, Rory? But I
well,
absolutely love that reaction of yours at the beginning. I'm still giggling, sorry.
luckily for you, I'll break it down into four different topics.
Okie dokie.
Simple. We're going to start off with the blue for
Oh,
feeling love.
oh,
So, um, I've got four other colors. So, I'm just thinking about um what it is to feel love, because the way I like to break it down is the way I see it is love is a choice. It's an aspect of being human that again can go off on so many tangents, but we can love objects and we can love people and we can love uh jobs and things to do, and it kind of connecting to that enjoyment and then what it feels like. A lot of society, a lot of words in lyrics in music and films, it's all about how something external or something that we're feeling that has us makes us feel a certain way and making us feel love. So when to feel in love with something is the typical response to what love is. So uh just to start with that perspective of how we feel about love, and that it isn't necessarily, it's like we can't not be attached when we are feeling love, and that goes to everything. It's the whole point is there's a conditional aspect to it, but then we talk about like should be unconditionally loving, but if we're from the should point of view of unconditional, we're actually in a condition with the unconditional love. So unconditional love is the sense of feeling unconditional love would be for no apparent reason, or just to feel the joy of the situation and that passion and purpose of what it is that we're loving.
hmm. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, that's some really good aspect to start with. Brilliant. And for me, it's definitely something I've thought a lot of when doing my emotional awareness framework and how love fitted in with all of that. And for me, when we're talking about things like health and emotions, there's, how we love ourselves and care for ourselves. Then there's logic and how we connect with processes and things that we do or hobbies and stuff like that. Social aspect as well. So whether love is, there's a big difference between loving something or somebody and being in love as well. So being in love is something that embraces a lot more of the social aspects of all of the holistic aspects between two people, and it magnifies all of the feelings over loving something or someone, like loving parents or children, brothers, sisters, loving friends. But when two people are in love, then that magnifies all of the emotions and feelings. And that's amazing. But I always feel like love is, for me, one of the things I came up with is love is a connection. As much as love creates feelings and emotions, I've seen love as a connection to a person, thing, process, whatever it is. And the reason I say that is because having children, I have experienced so much how I can love my children to the end of the earth, even when the situations we're in are not happy, when they are pushing my limits, when they've been in deep, dark depression and needing the support the most, to the point we sit there and hug and cry, but that's still love. So a lot of people think love is happiness, but actually it's a lot more than that. When we lose somebody we love, we can grieve over them. When somebody we love does something that doesn't align with our values, that can hurt us more than it would if some other stranger did it. And I think there is just so much about love that is often misunderstood. Um, and yeah, I could talk about this all day. I really could, Rory. So that's my opening, and I'll come back with a bit more later.
Love what you're talking about there. It's so important to bear that in mind that and that's why I like to remind people, and it's what's really helped me with a degree of understanding what happens when we are grieving is we're feeling grief, which is raw love for something from the what could be perceived as a negative feeling.
Mm,
Uh, but it's actually um uh it's like like for the love of the sad, this feeling sad for the love of the loss of something, but to really feel it truly
mm,
deeply, rather than making myself wrong for missing out on something, which is actually what I like to describe as guilt for I should have done this whilst I had that thing, and now I don't have that thing, so I can't do anything about it. So I'm gonna guilt on myself. And
mm.
that's where I realized I could just really feel the sadness and then let go, and actually I can, go through those waves of sadness and happiness for remembering really amazing times, the love of the loss. So the love, like you just said, sad, whatever the feeling is, but are we making us with the grieving, there's automatic societal expectations on you have to be guilty, and it's a difficult thing to do, and as soon as I made that and ingrained that processing of labeling it, am I feeling guilt right now or am I feeling grief? Oh yeah, I'm feeling guilt. I get to let go of that and really feel it and celebrate the grief. I ended up being able to just get through grieving processes so much more easily. Um,
Yeah.
uh, I can I? I know you've got a point there. I'm just going to go on to the next card and see if it relates or not. And
Okay.
if it doesn't, then we can come back to it just in case. So the second card I've got is for red, for fire, for creating. To create, to again, coming back to that sense of choice, to create love in the moment is a choice. And obviously, if it's with someone, then then there's a consent that is created around that sense of loving, and it doesn't have to be physical, can be just presence, deep presence. But yeah, with that physical love, with the emotional and the feelings and the cognitive side of love too. So I just wanted to bring in this next level of going from feeling to choosing to feel, or choosing to, what does creating love in the moment mean?
Hmm. Oh, good one, Rory. I'm going to bring my diagram up for this one. It's not showing up very well. There we go. I have to hold it at an angle and get the yellow at the top. There we go. I need to label it on the back. So when we talk about happy, sad, angry, and depressed, so just coming back briefly to you talking about loss. Again, when I mentioned about love being a connection, grief is when that connection is broken. And again, that's where, to me, that explains the love in terms of connection. Is the grief is an emotion that we get when we lose that connection, whether we lose a person, through death, or whether somebody's car is stolen, then they have a sense of grief then, especially when it's a nice brand new one or something. If children go missing, there is that sense of grief. But there's also the ambiguous grief as well, when you're going to lose something or going to lose someone, like a job's coming to an end, or relationships breaking down, but it's not quite there yet. There is a sense of grief that happens before that connection's broken as well. So there is a lot around that, and recognizing that is quite powerful, and then learning to process it. But when you're talking about the creativity, the red, so we're going on to the red now, to the colors match. To me, love is also something that we are willing to fight for. Now, noisy motorbikes, I'm not going to fight for. So when we talk about loving, but in the positive way, it's things we will fight for, as opposed to things that we hate and fight against. So things we hate are the negative things, and things we love are positive. And that's the higher emotion within the red. And when you're talking about being creative with projects, that's motivation. That's where the motivation and the passion for doing things comes from. So that's how that all fits for me within the emotional cycle diagram. So, yeah. Next, so have we got another color, or have you got some more on that one?
Only that, yeah, I like that idea that how it relates. So, because often the blue is for me is the water. It's quite engulfing in terms of it washes over you. So like that sad, like you say, the sadness and the thought processes are all dragging, or either dragging down into negative or rising up into, riding the waves of the thoughts of love. And so, and then the on the the red being the positive and negative. I like that idea of creating from a space of it can, again, it's emotive, and it can overtake and drive something. So to but with the fire is much more doing rather than feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, when we lose somebody and we go down into that grief, imagine it like the deeper you go, the darker the water, the colder and lonelier it is. But grief is when we lose somebody, and we tend to drop emotionally down here, towards depression, sometimes into depression. But it's how we learn to remember that person and hold them in our hearts and remember them and keep those positive memories going. And when we focus on the positive memories, it becomes thoughtful and much more positive in accepting the loss of that person or thing or process or job, car, whatever it is. So yeah, again, that positive and negative in that color, very much about that sinking feeling in the water and rising back up. So
Brilliant.
yeah.
Awesome. Next up, it's black.
Oh, the Queen of Spades. Yay.
So yeah, so it's black is to is maybe different a lot, but can still tie in quite nicely with your circle. The is the black is structure.
Okay.
Like black is structure, and it's tangible. It's mapping something out. It's planning. It's planning something that for something in the future. So what does organizing love look like? And so that sense of a lot of what coaching can help with is not just processing stuff, but also what do we want to move towards that what do we get to let go of that's not serving us? What do we get to take on? And what does love really, what does a loving life, and it doesn't have to be just relationships, but what does a loving life get to look like and map that out? And that's again where I see where uh, I know you'll expand on this, but I'm just saying where we're drawn down into reality, we're drawn and sunken down into where it's much slower. It's slow, it's stuck, it's like a rock. So, but again, from the mental fitness perspective, there's nothing right or wrong about these things other than what we perceive. So, so just because we feel stuck in the mud or whatever it is, there's a reason, and we have to go through the grieving process to see the comparison between where we don't want to be stuck and where we do want to be flying and floating and being in flow. And so um uh the last piece on that is that sense of grieving is about the process of letting go to be able to move back into flow again. And it's just the same as a daily creative flow cycle where sit down and do something that you really love to do, or that you plan to do for your business, or whatever it is that you want to get done. It may be work that doesn't necessarily feel enjoyable, but you know it's there for a reason to get something goal done that's going to be useful and beneficial to get done. But you sit down and you're reminded of the end result, so therefore you feel in lack, and that's where we're not in flow of creating it. So therefore it's just as part of the process to grieve not getting that thing done yet, but sitting down. And most people might feel that as I can't do it. I'm not good at this thing. Actually, whatever it is, when we focus and repeat and keep things going and go through the sluggish getting going, getting moving, oh yeah, now I'm picking up speed, getting into the flow cycle, going, boom, then we're in a flow of creativity. We have to go through the sluggish part first, and that's what people get stuck on, and then think that they're not skilled a musician, or they're not this type of person or that type of person. And it's just a case of what do you want to learn, what do you want to love, and get present to it and move through forwards with the organization.
Wow. Yeah, I've never looked at it as a point of that's where we plan and organize, and it makes sense. So when you're stuck down the bottom, by the way, we switched in the middle of that. I was checking the settings, and all of a sudden, because I suddenly thought, have I put us on the right setting for speaking side by side? And of a sudden, it just switched us over as I was checking it. So we're not playing tricks here. But yeah, so when you're saying down here, you know, when we find ourselves like we know there is room for improvement in life. That's why it's called personal growth, because growth is upwards. So it's again why coaches, mentors, therapists, trainers are all important in when you're feeling below par or feeling like there's room for growth, is how we help you to process. Like you said, grief might be even letting go of old beliefs and old habits and the things you're attached to. You've got attached to doing things in a certain way. And again, you've kind of subconsciously learned to do them that way, a bit like loving doing them at some point, but they've become stuck with you, and it's how to let go of them, that almost forcing the grief process for things that have become a negative habit, and then finding the motivation to do the things that are more positive, things you love. So it's letting go of these, putting in these, to eventually get the rewards of feeling happy at the other end and learning to use that process. So that's amazing, Rory. Well done. Thank you. I love it. I absolutely love the way you described that. And yeah, I don't think there's a thing in the world that somebody can tell me I can't fit on here. It's you know, for me, this is what I love. You cut me open. This is my DNA, this cycle. But this was mother's love in how I saved my son from suicidal depression. And this was I devised to help him see his emotions, because everything we talk about is emotional. Every action, every reaction, every interaction that we have every day, or no action when we choose not to do something, is all based on an emotion. And this was how I helped him. So everything we talk about to me is I'm picturing it on here as you're saying it. So I love the fact that everything works. We are all human beings, and no matter what our circumstances, culture, life, age, religion, football fan that you follow, football club, what clothes you wear, every human being has the same emotions. And love is absolutely an important part of that. So yeah, sorry, I've gone off on a tangent now. But I
Uh,
love going off on a tangent. That's who I am.
good. Yeah. Uh, so the final card that I was going to bring up, it is green,
Wow.
and it is to do with um uh go. Green for go. Traffic lights go. It's do, share, put out into the world. So this is the thing, I think, the piece that really wraps up what's important about humans right now, and consciousness of, as we're all sharing more and more conscious awareness of stuff and things and learning from each other. There's a process of it becoming a choice, and so that sharing out is a choice. So that again can be either conditional. It can be a conditional thing because we can't get away from conditions. It's not about just all being unconditional. Otherwise, we'd be floating in space, going, whoa. There's gravity. It's a condition. There's your bookshelf with all your books on, so that if you want to read a book, you've got a specific book to read. There, it's a condition. There's everything is and cause and effect. Oh, I want to read a book. I pick a book up. I read the book. I enjoyed the book. I loved the book. So that whole process of, it's not about trying to decondition ourselves completely, but where can we apply, um, putting, if we start to perceive love as a choice to put out in the world without any regard of or attachment to getting anything back, then we're not at the mercy of, this made me feel a certain way. This made me feel unloving. This made me feel. Obviously, we're going to feel like that because again, we've got learned patterns around it. If we can retrain ourselves just to put that out there without giving everything away and going, I have nothing for myself. It's about those limits within reason, uh, but just noticing what could happen with humanity if it was about putting out into the world and not expecting anything.
That's amazing. And I think, yeah, so it's not even about, I had something to say then, it's gone. Brain blip. So when you're talking about all the conditions and all the reasons for loving, and whether it's self, all these other relationships, and understanding that, it's about, when you understand kind of the conditions, the rules, the universal laws of love, whatever you call it, the values that are attached to love as well, then it's being able to, instead of just going along with whatever happens and reacting to it, it's being able to make those choices wisely and actually make it a conscious choice rather than being attached to it because you don't know what else to do. It's, some people get into jobs because they love it. So that's an attachment to that job. But then they lose the attachment to that job and they're no longer in love with it, but they still stick in the job. And then they feel burnt out, they don't enjoy it, the mental health starts to go downhill. So it's about learning to recognize where these changes happen and the changes we can make to either bring back the attachment to that job, why have you lost it, or the person in a relationship or whatever it is, and learning to bring that back, or is it something we need to let go of and make another change? And it's just learning how to use those feelings and the knowledge to understand yourself, your relationships, and everything you do day to day, and make changes to your personal development to find your higher self, because that is what we're all about here. But yeah, that's awesome. And the green and go, I love that. For me, green is growth as well. And when you're talking about coming up, and you've got positive thoughts mixed with happiness. So this is more of the advanced level of what I do is color blending. Like you'd color a painting, you start blending paints in a blending colors in a painting. Oh, hey, I'm having one of those days today. And there is a way of talking about blended colors on here, but that is quite a more advanced level of my training for this. So this is literally the core emotions, like the primary colors of paint.
Yes.
So yeah, green absolutely fits here as well. So,
Brilliant. Great. Well, I'm just gonna wrap up with a couple of other things that come up for me, which is um, how the um, to be able to give out that sense. Obviously, that's to be the dream world where everyone's just giving freely with no sense of self. However, to have no sense of self, we have to be in flow and full of self-love. So that sense of what gives us energy, that has us feel well, that has us even for short periods of time where we get to fill our own cup as what's called in a sense of whatever that is. So maybe there's something um that like going for a walk or doing that one thing for the self so that it gets validated enough for it to not be like, oh, what about me all the time. So in the background, so just filling that up, then filling up that cup means that then attention, presence, whatever choices, conscious choices to can be to give out. So that what can it take to fill up? Sometimes it is a forgiveness practice before anything else, because that maybe there's that grief and guilt that hasn't been processed. So forgiveness is such a part of that love giving process to the self and others, and it's about how to not just forgive people for what they may or may not have done uh, as an outright confusing thing for the brain if it doesn't seem possible. It's to forgive them so that it's for gift for the self. So I call it for gifting because it's for wishing someone would be better, even if they feel like you feel like they've done something wrong, as a gift out also is a gift that keeps on giving back to self so that it can be let go of. So forgiveness, for gifting, filling up, and that's where I'll come back to. I'll just round it up with I said before about being at the mercy of love, giving. Um, what about mercy as in French for thanking, thank, forgiving, thankfulness. So what about it being if going from at the mercy of to at the mercy of gratitude, gratitude practice. So forgiving, gratitude practice, then give out love.
amazing. I love that as well. Because yeah, when you're talking about giving and then attachment to getting things back, that's like people pleasing, but also expecting reciprocation. If I do this for you, then why am I not getting anything back? Or what are you going to do for me? Is not unconditional love. Unconditional love is, like I said, as a mother, I do all of the things I do for my children and my grandchildren without expecting things back. It is just a natural relationship with them. But maybe forgiving is actually another topic we can do for next week, because that is a massive one and it is a really, really important one. We talked about emotional healing last week. I think we did that last week. I know we talked about emotional healing. And the other one you just talked about was what was the other thing you just mentioned?
Food.
And we did an episode of that recently as well. It's gone out of my head. But something else you mentioned a minute ago that we did do an episode of. You said about loving and giving and forgifting. And what was the other thing you mentioned in there? We'll find it anyway. But there was something else that Rory mentioned in that last statement, which we have done an episode on, and it's just gone clean out my head. I really am having one of those days, and I know why. I ate some wheat rolls this week, and literally take something that simple to affect my mind. And again, we'll go back to the health ones we did. I need to look after my health a little better to look after my brain and forgive myself in the process. So yeah, I love food, but I need to love the right food. All part of this loving process, as we say. I love my food, but there's a lot I can't eat, and I must eat the right things. But no, that's amazing. So actually, there's another one. When we talk about addictions and loving things, are getting addiction as well. So there's a lot of topics we can actually pull out from today's.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But I think forgiveness would be a really good one for next week.
If anyone's watching and you want your favorite topic covered, let us know what you're getting from this as well. And
Yeah.
share in the comments so that we can um know what to provide best. What you touched on one thing, just a one other topic that could be talked about as an idea is that sense of what you just said about giving and expectations, people pleasing. That's not to be said that it's not possible and is important to have conditions set out so that we people know what to expect from a relationship or what not to. That's not necessarily set out at the start of relationships, whereby what roles do people play? How do you create clear communication processes when things don't feel so good, or that there has been some expectation that's not been met, or overly met, if that's a way, if that's something that happens. Uh,
Yeah.
you met my expectations too much.
Yeah, I've encountered a few things along that way over the years.
that
Um,
that sense of clear contract. Creating contract sounds technical and daunting, but it really is a sense of what is if people we can't get away from conditions. That's my point. So I just wanted to wrap that up and say
mm,
it's important to also create conditions so that there's expectations are met within relationships too.
yeah, and that might be another one to cover actually is relationships separately, because there's a lot I could cover on that one completely separately from that. Because relationships both make and break love, and love makes and breaks relationships. And there's ways where it can absolutely be amazing, and ways where it can go the complete opposite, and love can be quite abusive as well and manipulative. So it's yeah, there's a lot to cover there in relationships. And we didn't talk a great deal about self-love either. So there's so many things that could have come out of this conversation today, but we have brought out some amazing topics as it is, and we hope that's enough to get you going and to make you really think about what love means for you in every aspect of your life, and that this helps you find your higher self. So please let us know in the comments what your loves and passions are, what challenges you, what you would like us to talk about. Let us know, because we love to get feedback from you too. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Rory, again for yet another incredible conversation, and your cards today. I love them. And my one card. I really need to get a brighter version of this done that shows on camera. So thank you ever so much, and we will see you again next week, and we will do about